Hello everyone, this is Marianne from Revealing Light Tarot. I want to read today on a reading I did a couple of days ago where the final card was the Moon, followed by a clarifier of the Hermit. Since that reading, it's actually been bothering me that the final outcome of the question around Trump's executive powers showed these two particular cards. Now, I interpreted those cards as there's a lot more that we don't know. There's potential treachery, secrets, things trying to be hidden, and the Hermit showed a reflection and withdrawal. My initial interpretation was that Trump would back down on the government shutdown, or back down more particularly on using his executive powers. However, there's been a number of events which have been sort of lining up in my mind and my intuition, and it has been bothering me. I did try a reading on this last night, but I'd had a huge day yesterday and travelling around the States, so to speak, here in Australia, and I was quite tired when I did the reading. So I didn't bother uploading it, but it did show some interesting things and enough there to do a fresh reading on it this morning. Now, here are the things that are concerning me and the question that I will ask the tarot today. The things that are concerning me are, is Trump trying to test the bounds of his executive powers? Is the government shutdown a litmus test as to how far Trump can go with the executive? Okay, and the executive includes cabinet and the agencies, the federal agencies. One of the things you'll notice there's a pattern occurring is that Trump's put in acting heads in several ministries. When he was questioned about why he hasn't moved toward permanency, I think they can be in there for 120 days before the nominees have to come up before the Congress or the Senate for approval. One of the things he said was, having acting people in those cabinet positions actually provides me with more flexibility. Flexibility to do what? So, back to the Moon card and to the Mueller investigation, because straight after the reading that I did on executive powers, I went automatically, in a way, to the Mueller investigation and the fact that he has that the judge oversighting the grand jury has extended that grand jury now for another 6 months because it's hearing potentially new or further evidence. That reading showed the evidence that they were hearing was directly connected to conspiracy, potential conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Trump and Russia. Now, viewers' comments, I know this is a long introduction, but I think it's important that we talk about this. Viewers' comments have brought forward several aspects, including some information by Representative Eric Swalwell, who actually maintains there's an indictment under seal for Trump himself. We know that there probably is for Trump's children, particularly around the Trump Tower meeting, now that Russian lawyer has been linked now directly with Vladimir Putin. So, here's something I want to test. Well, I want to find out if Trump is testing the extent, the bounds, the capability, the capacity of his executive powers. Now, one of the viewers mentioned something called unitary executive theory. Unitary executive theory is a theory that the Constitution of America provides powers for the president to control the entire executive branch. Now, the executive branch is the cabinet and also most federal agencies. Now, I'm not a legal scholar. There may well be legal scholars who can add to this reading through their insights here on this channel. My theory, my feeling, my intuition, my question I want to chase down today, is Trump testing the bounds of his executive authority through shutting down the government, declaring a national emergency, which could actually be because those agencies are shut down, in order to suspend the Mueller probe, the Mueller investigation, or to stop findings, to stop indictments coming out. Now, that's what my reading showed last night, but I was so tired, I just thought I can't upload it. People will think that, she's gone off the deep end. So anyway, we'll do a fresh reading today, and the question that I'm asking, through shutting down the government, through threatening to use his executive powers, is Trump testing the bounds of his executive authority in order to bypass Congress and direct federal agencies and the cabinet to his own ends? And if so, why? Is Trump testing the bounds of his authority to direct the cabinet and federal agencies for his own purposes, potentially to suspend or interfere in some way with the Mueller probe? Trump executive powers testing the boundaries. Don't forget, Trump is a master of these. He's survived for so long without getting caught for potentially things that would have taken down people a long time ago. And there's a reason for that. He may indeed have elements of mad genius in him yet. We know that he's reckless, we know that he's frightened, we know that he's unhinged. Is this within the realm of possibility, that what he's doing? Of course it is. Let's see what the cards actually say on this. Okay, so first of all we have Trump. This is him. He's isolated, he's cornered, he's from all sides things are coming at him. All right, that's where he is at the moment. Here we have the Mueller probe, okay, so we're having a direct, this is the strength card, we've got a direct correlation, often comes forward for the strength of the American Constitution, the strength of the American courts, the Congress, the FBI, Mueller himself, okay? So it's mirroring this cornered card. Trump is cornered by those forces that are closing in on him, because he knows it means the end of his presidency, potentially the end of his fortune if they freeze money, which is where I'm thinking this might be going. And this is exactly what is causing him. The question was, is he testing the bounds of his authority? Loans and debts in relation to the cornering, to what is weighing in on Trump, what's causing this. Potentially he's just about to go, there could well be that indictment there for him. It is the loans and debts card, the 10 of Pentacles, which signifies what he's taken from Russia in return. These are the deals that he has made. This could well be the debts that he had through Deutsche Bank, could be potential money laundering. But that is what is at the root of this reading. Income sources. This is where Mueller, this card came up in my reading the other day. This is where Mueller's going. He's going to the income sources, the money that has exchanged hands. We knew he was following the money. This is what's bothering Trump. Now we've got in relation to endings, the things that Trump did. We've got the 7 of Pentacles. This is like the harvest card, but what you can see in this particular deck is that the fruit of the labours is withering on the vine. It's dying. Okay, this is mirroring the death card. So the work that Trump put in to get to where he was or is in the presidency through the Trump campaign, it is going to end his presidency. We'll keep going. I'll just push this back slightly. We'll keep going with this because I asked, was he potentially testing the limits of his power in relation to the Mueller probe to try and suppress that. So far, we're getting a pretty good indication that's exactly what he's doing. This is a desperate man. Now, we've got the Ten of Cups coming forward here. Now, this again is going to the relationships. It's mirroring the loans and debts card. It's mirroring why Trump is in the trouble that he's in. The Ten of Cups comes forward in relation to family inheritance, and I think this is representing the Trump organisation. The other aspect of this card is family trouble. So I think this is pointing to what Mueller has on the Trump family, what Mueller has on the Trump organisation, what Mueller has on the Trump campaign. All of these things, and Trump himself, are connected with why Trump is shutting down the government and potentially threatening to use his executive powers. He is trying. There's a proposal here which again is what Mueller, directly what Mueller is hearing and investigating. He's investigating the proposals that were put to Trump and the proposals that Trump accepted. Okay, the Fool. In this, it's mirroring the Death card, which is endings and beginnings. It's mirroring Trump's presidency, campaign, work, indeed money, what he's worked for, withering on the vines, and we've got the Fool card here. This is suggesting that what Trump did back in 2016 and previously before that was actually extremely foolish, and it is actually going to end his presidency and lead to new beginnings. Now, we asked if he was going to test his authority, if this government shutdown was in order to test his authority. So I think we've got to ask now. These cards tell a story that indeed he is. The Mueller investigation is uppermost in his mind in this government shutdown. That, I think the cards have established that, and it's to do with the conspiracy, collusion between Russia and Trump, and potentially it's involving his income and his wealth and his Trump organisation. So we can conclude that potentially there has been deals, monetary deals, changing hands between Russia and Trump, and potentially this may also go to the money laundering. Now, in context, these are things that have come out in our readings before, but they haven't come out in connection with the question we asked. Is he testing the bounds of his authority to interfere with the Mueller probe? So I think that narration there, viewers, before we go on to this question, I think that narration there through the cards and what was emerging, is directly saying that this is indeed what is at the back of his mind. Now, it may not have been a strategic plan. It may have been something that is now evolving, because if you think about what happens to desperate people when they are cornered, as we had with the Five of Swords with Trump, when someone who has potentially allegedly broken the law, when they're cornered, what do? They become increasingly desperate. So in some way, these actions that Trump is doing in shutting down the government over the alleged border wall, it is the symptom, not the cause. The cause in all of this is the Mueller investigation and trying to stop that. In some way, at the back of his mind, Trump is thinking, if I don't have permanent cabinet heads, if I can test the bounds of my executive authority in relation to the Constitution, then I may have jurisdiction over those federal agencies. Who oversights the Mueller probe? The Department of Justice. What about the courts? Viewers have told me that the court lists, the matters before the courts are starting to slow down. As I said, Trump is cornered. Is this the actions of a desperate man who is about to about to be caught, about to pay, to basically come, the long hand of the law is catching up. Is this shutdown exactly that? Is it a way to somehow interfere with those federal agencies in relation to the Mueller probe? And that's what we're going to ask directly now, because the first reading that we did is indicating that that is at the back of his mind. So let's have a look. What I'll bring the laptop down again shortly is I guess that past reading showed us that indeed this is what is in Trump's playbook, unconsciously or consciously. Is he going to be successful is what you all want to know. Is Trump going to use his unitary executive authority to stop the Mueller probe? Is Trump going to use his executive authority to stop, suspend, interfere with the Mueller probe? Okay, what I'm getting is that this is actually being talked about in the halls of Congress. This is actually now being considered by the Democrats in Congress. It's also being considered by a range of people from Mueller to the courts. Now we know that the US Supreme Court did not interfere with the ruling by a district court in relation to that foreign company that's trying to push back on Mueller. The Justice Roberts came in. I felt in my earlier reading he was dotting his I's and crossing his T's to make sure that he could actually say no. The Supreme Court doesn't have the jurisdiction or the authority to interfere, and it's emerged today that they won't interfere in that. So that Russian firm, then Mueller is able to go forward with that. So is it likely to work? Is Trump likely to use his executive powers to stop, suspend, halt, interfere with the Mueller probe? Okay, let's see. I'll bring the laptop down. All right, so straight away we've got communication, all right, and I felt that this is actually being considered by the powers that be. They are actually considering that this is what Trump may be trying to do. This card is only a knave. It's only a page, which is showing that Trump doesn't have that authority to do that. He may think he has, he may try it, but it's showing that he doesn't have that authority. And we've got the Queen of Pentacles again. Now, the Queen of Pentacles is a card that's coming forward time and time and time again in relation to the Mueller probe and Trump alleged conspiracy. Now, my feeling is this is just the justice that is oversighting the Mueller, the grand jury. Other people have come forward. This could be Ivanka. This could be Rebecca Mercer. In fact, I had a viewer comment today. Let me go back to it. Who they thought, some people have thought it could be Nancy Pelosi, and a viewer thought it might have been the Russian lawyer who's actually now Mueller can come forward and I think either question her or potentially do whatever he needs to do in relation to that Trump Tower meeting. So we've got the talking, and then we've got the Queen of Pentacles. So this could be all of that, viewers. My money, if you like, the Queen of Pentacles is on the justice that is oversighting the Mueller probe. That's who I think it is. She's oversighting the grand jury. How could Trump interfere with that? The Mueller investigation, if he suspended that, what happens to that grand jury? Okay, we've got Judgment. Okay, so my feeling that this was that that justice, Diane. Let me just get her last name. Sorry, I've mentioned it. I've mentioned it in a number of readings before. Beryl Howe. This is who I think it is because I've got the judgment card. So this is seemingly to suggest that this is indeed what Trump's plan is, to interfere, suspend, stop the unsealing potentially of those indictments. He doesn't want, this is almost a fiery hand coming out of the thunderstorm, if you like. It's almost like you shall not pass, okay? So think of the Department of Justice, what might occur if Trump has authority in relation to the Department of Justice, this unitary executive power that he may have, hasn't been tested. This is what he wants to do. He wants to stop, suspend the Mueller probe. But the knave is not someone of power. Okay, it's not a king, it's not an emperor, it is a knave. Okay, and here we go again, all right? This is Trump cornered. This is Justice Beryl Howe, who is oversighting the Mueller probe. Not oversighting the Mueller probe, oversighting the Mueller grand jury. Judgment, Trump is after. He's after hope, okay? He is hoping, seemingly very much in vain, that he can stop, and my feeling is stop the unsealing of those indictments. Somehow, viewers, I felt I'll just come up here, somehow I felt that Trump's money was key in all of this, Trump Foundation, that he is potentially, I wonder what is there in that Mueller probe. Forget the state actions for the moment, they're not as advanced. We're talking about these sealed indictments. We're talking about what is before the courts in evidence. We're talking about what's before the court in indictments, and this has something to do with the Trump Foundation and Trump's money. He is trying to stop that whatever moves Mueller has, whatever stage the investigation is at, whatever's in there, those in indictments, he's trying to stop that from emerging. And we've got the Four of Wands. Some people see this, I'll just bring this down here. Some people see this card as relating to Trump's assets. In other decks, it depicts almost like a Mar-a-Lago type kind of scene. But this is, again, I think in relation to what Trump hopes to achieve. He is trying to reverse that position. Okay, now remember the context of this reading is in relation to Trump testing the bounds of his authority in order to stop the Mueller probe. Again, we've got the Ten of Cups coming forward, which has meanings around family, wealth, family, I guess, inheritance, but also the other aspect is family trouble. And this is what he's trying to avert. Okay, so I'm glad I did this reading. Now I feel like I've got something off my chest because that Moon card and the Hermit, because one of the other aspects to that Hermit card in that previous reading is reflection and, trying to see what way you can take something forward. So you're operating in the dark, but you've got a lantern, you've got a light, and you're reflecting as to how you're going to get out of this darkness. And that was paired with the Moon, which is treachery, which is secrets, which is keeping things hidden. The takeaway message from this reading, viewers, is that Trump, as we always expected, is trying to pull various tricks, trying to test the boundaries of his presidential authority and executive power to shut down the Mueller probe, okay? And the reason that he's trying to do that, we've got the Queen of Pentacles, my interpretation of the Queen, who keeps coming forward in the last few weeks, is it is the justice that is oversighting the grand jury, the Mueller grand jury. Without a doubt, this is Beryl Howell, for me, in my reading. He is trying to stop that process. And it has to do with indictments, potentially for his children. In a separate reading, we'll ask the direct question, is one of those indictments for Trump? We may do that tomorrow. Definitely indictments there around Trump Tower and his children, but also in relation to his financial, the follow the money trail, potentially could lead to the seizing of his assets or his wealth in some way. So this is threatening Trump at the very core. It is threatening him and his money. Okay. All right. I'm going to leave it there. I will be interested to see what comes forth now, because really, if I was the FBI, I'd be following the tarot readers and I'd be following viewers' comments, because within them you get actually what is called intelligence. And so various things will come forward. We've got to remember that the collective consciousness has access to knowledge and I wouldn't call it wisdom, but has access to information that in the, I guess, the conventional world, you might go, well, that's, however, information and knowledge and thoughts, they all have power, they all begin things. And so real, intangible or tangible, I think it's relevant to be examining these things, and particularly getting that commentary going around what people are thinking is actually going on. So I'm going to leave that there. Thank you again, as I said, for your comments, and we'll see what pans out. Is Trump going to be successful? The bottom line in relation to this, remember we pulled that knave card, which is showing that he really doesn't have that executive authority at the end of the day. The Mueller probe has gone too far. This is a desperate, cornered person. As I said, what happens when someone, an alleged criminal, is actually cornered? What do? They become desperate. Do they win? No, because their plans are not thought out. It's almost like a last stand that just doesn't work. So I think this is another example of Trump's desperation. But if we think this is about the border wall and satisfying his base, that's a very minor part of this, I feel. This is actually about the Mueller investigation. Thank you, viewers. As always, thank you.